Hello.
Hello there. Thanks for having me, FirstGlance.
I am here with the wonderful Sonia Gumuchian, who is the director of the short film we're about to talk about. It's called Symptomatic. Welcome.
Thank you.
So let's unpack it. So, first of all, I think we should give, without giving too much away, can we give like a little tease?
A little tease.
Yeah,
Well,
a little
Symptomatic
tease.
is a drama. Some have said thriller, but I would call it a blanket term, a Me Too drama, just to kind of set the scene. And it's about a nurse who starts working for a celebrated doctor, and the more she gets to know him, the more she's getting a bit creeped out, and things escalate to like an uncomfortable level.
So it's very relevant
Yes,
in
yes.
the current climate. Did you feel like it was important to add your voice to the conversation as a, as a woman?
As a woman, yeah. Absolutely. And a lot of people have asked, like, oh, was this a real story that happened to you? And I always say, not really. It's more of like an amalgamation of quotes that I've heard from people or quotes that have been said to me, situations. So every aspect of it is real. And,
That makes me so sad.
I know, but also like sadly common and everything. So it's one of those things where I wanted to set it in this specific workplace backdrop, and I know that the story could be told really anywhere, but in terms of like the Me Too and all the workplace harassment that has been talked about, especially lately since 2017, it was mostly the entertainment industry. So I wanted to juxtapose like, oh, what if it's not like a Harvey Weinstein, but like
it can happen
this
anywhere.
like this pediatrician who's like saved children's lives and is like a really celebrated doctor, someone who's like a paragon of society, but like behind the scenes you would just not expect at all.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do a new backdrop to answer your question of this conversation.
And like, bravo on the casting.
Oh,
that guy was horrible. Really horrible.
Sweetheart in real life, monster on the screen. We love it.
Amazing. I mean, so much goes down to the casting. So yeah, we briefly talked before the cameras started rolling, but I thought it was interesting because we see so many different points of view, and it was curious to me that so in the work environment you have the person who is the creep, but then you also have that person who by saying nothing is complicit, which I think we come across quite often. But then interestingly enough, with I won't give too much away, but then there's another character who I felt really like diminished our hero's experience by not taking it seriously. And I wonder how often that happens, that that we deny a person their truth because we want to make a joke, or we want to minimize their experience, or, oh, you're overreacting.
Yes, exactly.
And that I don't think gets spoken about enough. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so there are a lot of ways of not to help. It's either by just like being friends with your bro who behind the scenes is doing all of this. Like that's one way not to help. Another way not to help is to, like you said, like minimize someone's story. So the scene you're talking about is essentially our main character starting to realize that something is going off, and she confides in someone, her sister.
But I thought it was interesting because it's the only time you really see her out of that work environment.
Absolutely.
So you're in this very secure, safe place.
And it still didn't feel safe.
Exactly. Feel safe. I thought that was so clever.
So she's in her own bedroom. Now we're outside of the workplace. She's confiding in her sister. You're thinking like, oh, she's gonna help me like feel better about this like pervy boss of mine.
Yeah.
And then she diminishes it because maybe in her mind it seems a bit gray area.
Yeah.
That's another thing too with so many of the situations. It's like there's a lot of ways not to help and a lot of ways like to be confused and not take it seriously, because not everything's going to be as like black and white as something that you would see in a movie. It's usually a lot more subtle, and you're only going to realize it like after the fact, like, oh yeah, that was a build-up that I did not see coming.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you want to diminish it, it's very easy to do it, because most things in life and in this totally ambiguous, and who knows what you're even feeling. You could be fooling yourself,
And so what would your ultimate hope be for the audience to take away from this film?
I would just, I know that it's been talked about a lot and it should be talked about more. One big thing that I like that it's screening now in 2023. I feel like a lot of these trends, they kind of come by
and they disappear.
Yeah. So
it's still a thing.
It's still a thing, yeah, exactly. So it's like, oh, you're doing a Me Too film now, like 2023. Well, that was so 2017. It's like, oh, it's like not a trend, like it's constant. And yeah,
You're still flying the flag.
Yeah, it's never gonna end, actually, or maybe it will. Who knows?
Yeah.
Probably not.